Has World War III already begun? I say yes. If you look at where war is raging, okay, we have the United States at war in Russia, Ukraine, along with the rest of Europe, along with the United States in Israel, in West Asia, North Africa. We have the United States, Israel, and India supporting civil wars in Eastern, Uganda is kind of, Sudan and Uganda are kind of like Central East Africa. We're supporting that war. And then we also have Israel with the aid of the United States at war with Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, and now Iran. Then we also have the United States at war with Venezuela, Cuba, and Mexico. So, by definition, we are already in World War III. Okay? Maybe when this whole thing blows up and bombs start flying into the United States, which is very possible, then maybe they'll start calling it World War III. But I'm telling you, we are already at the stage of World War III. Okay? And how bombs would start flowing into the United States and where the war goes next. Let's look at what's going to be happening. We have our president of war, Donnie the Holocauster, going to be sending, if there's not already, troops in Venezuela. We already have them off the coast of Venezuela. Okay? And then once we are bogged down with more war in Iran, which is going to be very, very, very hard. Okay? China's going to go ahead and send in their military to Taiwan. And Russia's going to finish off Ukraine because we're going to be spread so thin. We can't fight the entire world, and that's what it seems like the United States, under our president of war, wants to do. He wants to fight the entire world, all on behalf of this tiny little foreign nation called Israel, because Israel, I'm not even sure what the hell they fucking are anymore. It's so weird. It's just like, I think about this all the time. Why are we so much obsessed with them? Yeah, that's my little brat. And doing their bidding. How do they own us? They're a tiny little country about the size of New Jersey with 9 million people. How are they dictating what happens here in the United States in our military? It's bizarre to me. But here we are again. We're going to more war for Israel. But that's what's going to happen. And if you don't think that China or Russia is going to set up in Cuba to attack the United States, you're wrong. They are. In fact, it wasn't too long ago that Russia sent a submarine, a nuclear submarine, to sit off the coast of Cuba. You don't think they'll do it again? I mean, the truth is that Russia could just go ahead and nuke Ukraine and be done with it. Okay? If you ask any of our AI features, what's the likeliness, percent-wise, that a nuclear bomb will drop in 2026, it's about 25%. We have a 25% chance of somebody dropping a nuclear bomb. Okay? I don't know who's going to do it, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it. What if North Korea wants to go ahead and take back South Korea and Japan and go under the same with China, and because they're allies with China? You know? I mean, Japan's history isn't that great. They are terrorists too. Okay, every country has had their terrorism. You know, and under our president of war, which is just so bizarre saying that we have, I mean, I grew up, and granted, Donnie the Holocauster is not my generation. He is a generation before me. Okay? But as a Gen Xer, we grew up in this whole thing where let's go ahead and have world peace. We all want world peace, okay? So it's so bizarre that half of our Congress, I don't know about half, well, I hardly any of us are in positions of, that's probably why they haven't given up the reins. I mean, I'm 49, and if you look at, like, where Gen Xers are, we are around 50, okay? Some of us are a little older than 50, some of us are a little younger than 50, you know? And if you look at what Congress is doing, they won't release, they won't get out of office. They're dying in office. I mean, it's a running joke that it's an expensive nursing home for the elite, you know? And that's what it seems to be. And maybe it's because Gen Xers really don't have a stomach for war. We don't want war. We don't want to blow up children, okay? My freedom shouldn't depend upon blowing up children in a foreign nation, okay? That is not decimating their country. These were prosperous countries before we got involved in them. We've blown them into smithereens. And we've turned them into shithole countries. We have forced them to become third world countries. And the reality is that here we are, hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars going out to war. And then look at our own shithole country. We have more people who are homeless than we've ever had in any history. You know, even some of our earlier histories, we have more homeless people than we did in the 1800s. We also have horrible drug addicts because we don't have treatments for them. Okay? We're not spending the money where it needs to be spent. I live in Colorado, and I calculated it out once. We're spending about $30,000 per year per homeless person. You're telling me you can't home the homeless person for $30,000 a human? I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. Where the hell is all this money going? That tent city in Denver, you should look at how much money they're spending on just that tiny area, okay? And it's not helping people get off drugs. It's not helping people get off the street because it's not helping them get off drugs, and it's not helping their mental states. We need to fix that problem. We need drug treatment facilities. inpatient drug treatment facilities, followed by real halfway houses, okay, where it's not ran by private institutions, because private institutions cannot be trusted, okay? That is just a money laundering scheme where they're taking money from our taxes and laundering it to wealthy donors. We had a place here where it was a judge that was sentencing the people to this, it's like a prison halfway house. I'm not really sure exactly what it is exactly. That's best I could say about it. It's a drug halfway house, okay? And that was owned by the other spouse. So that is where we're at with this shit. And then we need halfway houses for mental institution, for people with mental problems, where once they get treatment from the state, okay, and they need a place to re-enter into society. To remigrate into society again. There needs to be a facility for that, okay? Just giving these people homes isn't helping, because they're drug addicts and people coming in, they're ripping them apart and stuff. You need a solid place where people are literally, okay, being monitored at all times, okay? A place to get people off the streets and stuff still need to be monitored, okay? If you look at, like, back in the day, the YMCA charged like $25 a week for a room, and that's all it was, is a room. But they had a desk person 24 hours. They had armed security, 24 hours armed security, and a lot of locked doors, especially at night. It wasn't just freely walking in and out of the place. And that seemed to help a lot. I mean, for homes, I actually had a friend of mine who lived there shortly after she was emancipated. Her mom basically refused to take her back. She went to a runaway shelter and outstayed the allowed time at the runaway shelter. I think it was like 30 days that you could live there. And so they didn't have a place to put her. So they put her in detention, where criminals go, juvenile criminals go. Okay, the juvenile criminal facility, they put her there because they had nowhere else to put her. She stayed there for, I want to say, about a month, maybe a little longer, until they could put her into a foster home, where she stayed until she graduated high school. And once she graduated high school, she was emancipated, and the state paid for her room at the Y. And so she lived there until she turned 18, and then she did move out, But that's how that went. So I did know, and I knew a few other people who stayed there and everything too, but this is what our place needs, okay? We clean up homeless camps, but we're never fixing the problem, okay? We're just moving them from place to place, and we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not even thousands, it's literally hundreds of millions of dollars every single year displacing the homeless. Make that make sense. It's fucking bizarre. But we're spending all this money doing all of this stuff. And then we're spending more money going to war. We're $38 trillion in debt. We have a president of war who can't get enough war. And he must love murdering babies, because that is what's happening. Murdering babies. But back to the thing. Are we in World War III already? I mean, technically we are. We have multiple countries at war in multiple regions of the world. So yes, we are in World War III already. How long it's going to last, I don't know. Where it goes from here, how bad it's going to get, I don't know. But we need an off-ramp. We need to come together as civilized societies, okay, and say we are unwilling to support this anymore, okay? I don't feel any safer sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Netanyahu so he can bomb the children in Gaza, or he can forcefully remove the Christians out of the West Bank. And why I say that, it's not just Christians, it's Muslims and Christians, but if you look at it, you know, Christians occupied, I think it was around 15 to 20% of Palestine before 1948. And now they're down to, I think it's like around 1 or 2%. There is towns that instead of allowing the Christians, okay, who are fully on board with decimating and destroying the homes of the Christians in the West Bank for this foreign nation of Israel, who are foreigners mostly. They come from Russia, they come from Ukraine, they come from Germany, they come from the United States. They travel to Israel, and Israel gives them homes, okay? People want to sit there and talk about how we're sitting here, protesting these real estate sales. They're selling Palestinian Christian homes to Jewish U.S. citizens so that they can go over there and terrorize the rest of the Palestinians. And these are things that you should be thinking about. Do you really want your tax dollars going to that? And we're condemned and acted like we're the terrorists for thinking that's wrong? I'm sorry, I don't. And we're at World War III. I think it's all because of Israel. Whether it's Ukraine, that's because of Israel. If you look at the ties between Ukraine and Israel, you'll see it. Half of them hold dual citizenship. I don't think dual citizenship should be allowed. And let's think about dual citizenship for a minute. How can you have loyalty to two countries? You can't. You can only have loyalty to one. And so what I'd like to ask from people like Mike Pompeo is, does your loyalty lie with the United States of America, or does it lie with the foreign nation of Israel? Because it can't be both. You can only have loyalty to one country. Is it the United States of America, or is it the foreign nation of Israel? The people should know, so that when you want to teach our children history, you want to install history and say Israel is the forever victim. When you want to do that, we need to know where your loyalty lies. Is it with the United States of America, who you want to brainwash our children into believing that the Palestinians are the aggressors when their land has been taken from them, their children have been murdered, their children and fathers and mothers are being locked up and tortured in Israeli torture camps? We want to know where your loyalty lies. And he did say he wants our children to view Israel as the victim and the Palestinians as the aggressor. But that is not true. Hamas wouldn't exist if Israel had actually chosen to live in harmony with the Palestinians. And the Palestinians are not just Muslims. There are a lot of Christians. There are U.S. citizens who are Christians living in the land of Palestine, and you can hear some of their stories. They will tell you how it is. How Israel sends in their settlers to intimidate you at gunpoint. The Israelis all have guns. The Palestinians have no guns. These are the facts. very little guns. Some of them are armed, and those are armed resistance. And by international law, they're allowed to. Israel doesn't think that they should. They should just lie down and wait until Israel decides to murder them. They need to make way for Israelis. Is that what we tell the natives? I mean, it seems like it, because we have ICE out here kidnapping natives off the street, torturing natives. And, I mean, there's no other country they can deport them to. So they do end up having to release them. And a lot of them are tortured. If you hear the stories, they're tortured in people, you know? And that brings me to Renee Good. And I want to discuss this for a second. While I don't believe that ICE agent will go to jail for this, I do, however, believe the family will end up suing the government and getting somewhere between $2 to $10 million. And this is going to go on with a lot of families, but they're going to end up probably getting on the higher end due to the fact that she's dead. She's not just hospitalized, which they have hospitalized people as well. And this is the reality of it, the whole reality of it. We sit there and we want to condemn Iran for killing their citizens who are violently protesting in the masses. I guarantee you the United States government would do the same to us. And it is proven with how little they care about killing us for protesting. It's like civil disobedience isn't allowed anymore. Isn't that part of our First Amendment right? Under the Department of War, with our President of War, it is not. We're not allowed to do that. But it's okay to murder U.S. citizens on U.S. soil for protesting. But we need to go bomb a foreign country for their government killing their citizens for protesting. Does that even make sense anymore? I am just so bizarred with the whole fucking system. I'm not okay with that. We are the bad guys. If anybody's questioning it, the United States is the bad guy. Okay? We are the bad guy in Venezuela. We are the bad guy in Iran. We are the bad guy in Syria. We are the bad guy in Lebanon. We are the bad guys in Ukraine and Russia. We are the bad guys. We are the bad guys. With China, we are the bad guys. Do you see China fucking waging war anywhere? No, they're not. When's the last time China fucking bombed another country? How many countries has Russia bombed in the last, 10 years? How many countries has Iran bombed in the last 10 years? How many countries has North Korea bombed in the last 10 years? Has Venezuela bombed their neighbors? Has Cuba bombed their neighbors? Why are we occupying part of Cuba? So for a torture camp. I mean, I kind of get why the Cuban people don't go and kick us out, because they're afraid to be bombed. But if they're going to be bombed anyways, they might as well forcefully remove and take back their territory. And that's reality. They might as well. And other countries have to learn by North Korea, the only way you stay safe from the United States of America is to have nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are the only thing in this world to keep you safe from Israel and the United States. And this is the world we are living in. So are we in World War III currently? Yes, we are, if you ask me. Other people might have other opinions, but I am saying yes. We are at World War III. And that's all I'm going to do right now. I could probably ramble for hours if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to. Have the day whatever you want.